Introduction to Snail Farming, using Nigeria as a case study while focusing on Archachantina marginata ovum known as African giant land snail, which is the biggest snail in the world. The world's economy has slipped into recession. The big question now is, how do we come out of it as an individual? Agriculture seems to be the only way out of poverty, food scarcity and current unemployment challenges in the world today, especially the youth in Nigeria and Africa at large. For the sake of this training, we'll trim our scope to snail farming, which is a branch of agriculture. This branch of agriculture has so much health and economic potentials embedded in it, but it had long been overlooked until recently when the advocacy and campaign for a low-cholesterol meat began to be on the rise. Snail rearing, also known as HELICULTURE, is the breeding, raising and production of snails for meat production, slime production and calcium production. Snails are useful for their meat served as several local and international delicacies. Their slimes are equally used in production of cream for skin care and also treatment of skin diseases, while their shell are used for medical purposes and also crushed for animal feed because of its rich source of calcium. Snails are hermaphrodites, which mean they have both male and female sex organs. They mate when mature, and each time it rains, the snails are conditioned to either mate or lay more eggs. It is expedient to know that snail farming requires patience, and why many farmers fail is because they know little or nothing about this aspect of agriculture they are venturing into. However, it is one of the most profitable animal rearing businesses in Nigeria. It provides one of the finest opportunities to make good money at a very short term or long term, depending on your target. But before venturing into snailery, there is a need to equip yourself with all the required knowledge about this business. Unlike other livestock enterprises, assets such as housing for snails is the cheapest to construct. Its feeding is also relatively cheaper, if not almost free, compared to the rest of the livestock farming. Characteristics of snail. 1. Snails are hermaphrodites. They possess both the female and male reproductive organs. What this means is that when two snails comes together to mate, they fertilize one another. Each of them goes their separate way to lay the eggs, which makes snail farming to be very lucrative. 2. They are nuptial in nature. This means that they are very active at night. 3. They grow with their shell. 4. They are slow ways to make money in snail farming. 1. Rearing. 2. Snail spicing, snail trading. 3. Snail slime harvestation for cosmetic companies. 4. Snail meat processing and export, etc. 5. Sales of snail feed and inputs. 6. Training and consultancy service. However, this teaching has been divided into 2 parts, so not to worry, if you do not have any interest in rearing snails, then you can take a look at other ways of making money with its related businesses. What to consider before starting snail farming. 1. Choosing a site. Pen construction. When setting up a productive snail farming venture, you must as a matter of necessity construct an escape-proof roofing housing. Snails are easily dehydrated, and wind increase the rate of moisture loose in snail, which in turn leads to the dryness of the animal. To prevent snails from losing water so quickly, your snaileries, the snail house, must be located in an environment that is protected from wind. A low plain, downhill site surrounded with enough trees is perfect for snail farming. You may plant plantains and bananas around your snail farm to prevent the impact of wind. There are several snail housing to choose from depending on the sizes of your intended farm, be it a small scale or a large scale. 2. Soil suitable for snail farming. Soil is a major part of snail habitat, and it also serves as food for them. The shell of snail is made up of mainly calcium, and most of which it gets from the soil. Hence, it is essential that the calcium and water content of the soil is high and that the soil is loose. It is also worthy of note here that clay soil and very sandy soil are not suitable for snail farming. This is because clay soil are too acidic for the snails and can easily get waterlogged, thereby drowning the snails. On the other hand, sandy soil has low capacity of retaining water content. Therefore, the recommended soil for snail farming is the humus or loamy soil. Loamy soil is that black soil that supports the growth of plants. 3. Temperature and humidity. Snails are cold-blooded animals and hence are sensitive to changes in the atmospheric humidity and temperature. They thrive best in areas which have moderate temperature and high humidity. There is what is called aestivation, hibernation in snails, which mostly occurs during dry season. It is the state where the snail becomes inactive, hibernate, or in a state of dormancy and seals itself into its shell with a white calcareous layer to prevent loss of water from the body, which is mostly caused by high temperature. For the snail farmers, the period of aestivation means the loss of valuable growing time. If as a snail farmer your snails begin to enter this state, note that it's an indication that you have not provided them with a conducive environment. Recommended solution is to do regular wetting of the pen and increase mulching with dry leaves, which represent their artificial habitat. 4. Stocking. Having a suitable space is pertinent to ensure that stocking is done based on space available for the snails. As much as possible, overcrowding or overstocking should be avoided, as this has some negative effect on snails breeding. Overstocking often results to cannibalism, mortality and inhibited growth of snails. It is therefore advisable to stock snails depending on the housing size and the sizes of snails. The stocking rate for hatchlings is 40 to 50 per square meter, for growers snails, 35 snails per square meter and adult snails, 10 to 20 per square meter. 5. Selecting suitable breed for farming. When starting up a snail farm, it is advisable to get snails directly from a trusted snail farmers or from the forest instead of buying from the market or roadside. Snails from the market or the roadside would have often been exposed to sunlight and hence, been dehydrated. Also, it should be noted that most snails seen in the market are caught with chemicals to attract snails in the wild, which is not good for both human consumption and snail farming. Most of such snails ends up dead due to dehydration and presence of toxins. This is because snails drink a lot of water, so they are easily dehydrated when exposed to sunlight. This stresses them out, and reduces their fertility capacity. 2 ways of sourcing for snails. 1. Catching snails from the wild. An intending snail farmer could pick the snails from the bush, forest with a very simple technique. Clear a little portion of land during rainy season and sprinkle juicy fruits like pineapple, pawpaw, plantain, banana etc. at about 5 o'clock in the evening. Due to presence of the natural baits, when you go back there about 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., you will pick up snails suitable for rearing. Repeat the procedure until you get enough quantity. Picking up snail eggs littered in the marketplace where it is sold or buying it is not advisable. However, you could be lucky to have hatchling from such eggs anyway, but it should be noted that some of such eggs must have lost fertility due to the exposure to sunlight and too much of air. Start to feed the picked snails and gradually you begin to raise a snail farm. 2. Buying snails from an existing farmer or market. When buying snails from snail farmer, make sure that such farmer has a good track record. Thoroughly inspect the snails for cracks, if any. Do not buy them for your farm use. Cracked snails spend time of reproduction on shell healing of the crack. Thank you for watching. Watch out for part 2. Till I come your way next time, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, SOBAYOMODUPE Snails. Remember to like, comment and share this video. Contact me on WhatsApp, +2348027247470.